Hey guys, this is New Sensei. Now this is a very belated archery Q&A. This is meant to cover the questions from July. Unfortunately, I've been very busy with other things the last couple of weeks, including school projects, some competitions, a bit of illness, and of course the Olympic Games. So while all this is happening, I have been putting it on the back burner, so it's a little late, I do apologize, but I am going to answer some of the really good questions that have come out of July. Firstly, two questions from Squire Wren. The first question is, do you need to have side rods in your stabilizer setup? While ultimately you probably do want side rods in a full setup for your stabilizers, you don't actually need side rods for your first stabilizer set. Many beginner packages actually come with only a long rod stabilizer. The long rod does most of the work. The side rods just make it a little easier to keep stable. So no, you don't need side rods, although eventually you probably do want to get them. Second question from Squire Wren, does a loud bow indicate that the bow is out of tune? Not necessarily. Loud bows can be caused by several reasons. Some bows are just naturally loud, but the most likely cause of a loud bow is the brace height being too small. If the brace height or if the bow's understrung, and that is the string is too long or the brace height's too short, then what will happen is that the string will slap against the limb. That's basically what happens with a loud noise. It's very inefficient. It does lose a lot of energy. And this may mean that it's out of tune. That isn't the cause necessarily. It just means that you might need to check your string length or add twist to the string to increase your brace height. It doesn't mean it's out of tune, although it probably will be out of tune if it's too short. Question from any shite? The question is there anything wrong with putting a bit of Loctite onto screw-in points? No, that's fine. Putting Loctite or a small bit of glue onto your screw-in points is quite normal. Screws will naturally come loose. Some people like using screws because you can replace the tips really easily, but often for those who are shooting the same set of screws all the time, you may want to just add a bit of glue to keep them from loosening. This is quite important because a loose point will actually create some left-right distortion in your shot, so you want to eliminate that variation by keeping the point as tight as possible. Question from Alexander, do you find that your glasses get in the way of your shooting? For me personally, no. I know some people do have trouble depending on their frames, but I personally don't find any issue shooting with my glasses. Arvid asks, how do I know what I'm doing wrong? That's actually a really big question. I'll cover this in more detail in a different video. But just to go through really quickly, there are actually many causes of common problems. It is just one thing which you go, that's what I'm doing. The three main areas you should examine are your equipment, your technique, and your mentality or your psychology. The equipment thing might be things like loose vanes, arrows being too stiff, something wrong with the string, and so on. The technique problems might be release or anchor or back tension, and the mentality problems will cover things like having target panic, for example, or overthinking your shot process. So any of these areas can contribute to problematic shooting. So don't assume that it's you. Sometimes it's the bow and the arrows, or likewise don't blame your gear. It actually might be you. Kayla asks, can you explain string waxing? The purpose of string waxing is to add some lubrication to your string. The strands in your string will rub together as you use it. This abrasive effect will cause the string to wear out, it'll cause it to dry, it'll start fraying, which you'll start seeing as fine kind of white hairs on the string, and over time it will make it more brittle and less stretchy. That means it will lose its speed and so on. So waxing the string will keep it in better condition, it will extend the lifespan of the string, and yes, you should be doing it for both your recurve and your compound. Jay asked, what happens if you shoot an arrow that's too stiff? Unlike shooting a massively underspined arrow, shooting an overspined arrow doesn't really have any dramatic effects. rather than breaking or exploding. The arrow will simply fishtail really poorly. It won't correct in flight. It will drift off to the left if you're a right-handed shooter, or to the right if you're a left-handed shooter. So yeah, nothing you might be expecting. It's just really hard to use. Richard asked, what's the difference between adjusting the tiller versus adjusting the knocking point? The context of this question is to do with the arrow porpoising or moving up and down. Now, this can be caused by incorrect tiller adjustment, so changing the tiller can address this. The knocking point is normally the easiest thing to do. Tiller, you probably shouldn't change once you establish the right tune for your bow. So depending on how you're shooting, 3 under, split finger, the size of the bow and so on, you probably don't want to change that. It should be a sweet spot. Once you find that any variation in your arrow flight up and down should be a knocking point issue. So I would adjust the knocking point first. If there's continual problems, then do adjust the tiller. These things are slightly different things because the tiller will dictate the speed of the limbs and how synchronized they are. The knocking point is more to do with the elevation of the arrow. So one problem can mask the other, so try to identify what's actually causing a problem before making the adjustments. Finally, question from Abdul, what do limb savers actually do, and what's the difference between Formula and IOF limbs? Honestly, I can't tell you. A lot of these are Hoyt products and Hoyt features, and I've never used them. I don't have anything to compare them with, so I can't give you an objective empirical answer. Someone else who's used these products more extensively can probably give you better feedback, but I can't really answer that question. Anyway, that's it for today. Again, sorry for being so late on this Q&A. Just a lot of things have come up and have eaten into my time. Do bear in mind that I'm going to take questions for the next Q&A very shortly, so obviously any questions you have, ask below. Additionally, I'm going to be doing a special edition Q&A relating specifically to the archery at the Olympics in Rio. So if you have any Olympic archery questions, feel free to ask below, and I'll make a separate video in a few days. Anyway, this is New Sensei. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.